Welcome back, everyone. I know it's been a while since we've done a Digimon video, but EX03, super long format. We're now over at BT11, going into Nationals. This is probably one of the ones that has a good shot of winning. This is Blackwargreymon, one of the best decks of this format. The other one would be Mastamon. But before I get into the deck profile video, I want to show you some new sleeves and stuff I got in on my site. So new Tokyo Revenger sleeves. We got Mikey, Draken, and then him and Takamichi, as well as matching deck boxes. I will put the link to my site down below in the comments. And with that, let's begin. All right, so I play 4 Koromon. This is the Koromon that goes, when this Digimon has Agumon or Greymon in its name, it gets 1000 DP on your turn, right? You could play this one from BT05, where essentially when you attack and it has a Omnimon or Greymon, you basically draw one, right? So unless you're swinging with an Agumon, everything in this deck is, you know, a suitable target where you trigger the draw one. But the reason I don't play this one is because this deck already draws a lot, because you evolve on X antibodies for free, so you basically already draw. In fact, if games get drawn out, because this is a aggro / control deck, if games get drawn out, you have a good chance of actually decking out. So especially like a Blackwargreymon versus Blackwargreymon matchup, depending on how the field looks, your deck can get really, really thin. Well, so I just go for the power. All right, so first we'll start off with one Omnimon X antibody. This is super good, especially when you evolve it on attack. You attack with something under it with a X antibody, and then essentially if you have the X antibody, you pay the 5, and then when Digivolve, you return all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest level to the bottom of their deck, right? So you could essentially like get rid of all of their stuff. One of the other good effects is when Digivolve and when attacking. So you can actually activate this twice. So when you do it on the Digivolve, right, and then you put the level 6 specs because you want to keep your X antibody for the protection. But on the very next turn, when you swing, you get to trigger it again, and then this time you get rid of the X antibody, and then basically go for a game. So if they have like 1 damage left, you basically pick it up, look at it, trash it, and then this attack would go for game. Just the 1 copy. 2 regular Blackwargreymon. Everybody knows what he does. A little tamer control. But the best part is when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, you unsuspend him, right? So when he is acting as a blocker, you can, with Metal Greymon X antibody, you can basically unsuspend him, block 2 attacks, and trash one of your opponent on your opponent's turn. And because of the regular Metal Greymon from BT08, you can start wiping out board. This is a very control-y deck. But just the 2. Next, we have the new Blackwargreymon X antibody. This thing is really good because it's got the reboot. You Digivolve 2 from Blackwargreymon, and then all the effects are on the opponent's turn. So opponent's turn, when your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP attack, you switch it to him, right? So he basically redirects the target. So if you still have the Greymon, you can still block something. So you still get to block 2 attacks as if it was this one, because you get to redirect one, and then you basically still have the regular blocker when you do the reboot. And then the second effect, when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, if this Digimon is Blackwargreymon, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So when you swing in your turn with the swing, it's suspended. Reboot, unsuspend on your opponent's turn. Then if you have the Blackwargreymon X antibody, trash one, and then also delete one with the lowest play cost. Really good card, especially if you've already got game control of the board and you just need a swing and they have 1 Digimon out, it's just going to die. 2 Galmon, Digivolve 2 from Blackwargreymon. It is also traded as having a Greymon, so you can grab it off of some of the Agumons. Security +1, reboot. So again, reboot, you know, Metal Greymon, X antibody effect. And then he is another control card where you can de-Digivolve. And then he also has Blitz. So he's your big attacker where you get to swing for 2 damage. All right, of course, 4 of these Metal Greymons, right? One of the best cards is just being able to de-Digivolve. You can keep something in the back. Your opponent build up faster, they move it out, you evolve onto this, de-Digivolve. And with the new Greymon X antibody, it will just be a 2-cost evolution. And then, of course, the attack unsuspended, so you can really control the board. All right, one of the best cards is this. This is the only card so far that provides protection from de-Digivolve, right? So when you Digivolve into this, it can't be DP, can't be reduced, and it can't be affected by de-Digivolve. Then if you have the Metal Greymon or X antibody, then delete a level 6K or less. And then on the inherited, opponent's turn once per turn, when a Digimon becomes unsuspended, if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. It's really good, right? So you basically, well, it is a 1 cost to Digivolve from Metal Greymon, but if you evolve, you basically provide the protection. If you have you out, you basically have full coverage other than attacking power, which since red has a lot of pluses on power, you really don't have to worry about that, right? So, I mean, general rule of thumb was, you know, it was if you got it over 15, you're good. But now with like Omnimon X Antibody, obviously it's got 16. So, but this deck can hit over that pretty easily. So we got 4 of these. Greymon can evolve on red, which is why we play this one. While you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. It's the only thing that gives blocker, and it makes it really good. 3 of these Greymon. Basically, if you evolve it while an Agumon is out, you basically just pay the 1. It's a cheap evolution. If not, you keep it in the back. Evolve, it will be 2, but it does give 2,000. Like I said, the power, hitting over 15 is not hard. One of the new cards of BT11, Greymon X Antibody, right? So obviously you never want to really evolve it for the full 3, but even if you do, it's like Deltamon, where, you know, later when you Digivolve into Greymon, reduce the cost by 1 for each of that card's colors. All your Metal Greymons are 2, so instead of paying 4, you'll pay 2. So you basically time how much memory. And then his inherited is basically the same as the Black Agumon X Antibody, where when this Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name would be deleted or returned to your hand or deck by an effect. So it has to be by an effect. So it's not like the old Greymon X Antibody where if it would be like deleted just in general. It has to be by an effect. So battle is probably the only weakness of the Blackwargreymon deck, where, you know, like Grandis can actually beat over it, etc., or attack unsuspended and beat over stuff. That is the weakness of this deck, but not every deck can do that. All right, 4 of these Agumon. Reveal top 3, add a Greymon, and 1 with Omnimon, right? Old card, we know it. I'm playing 4 of this Agumon because I don't want to drop like $25 on the promo one just for a 2K. Both of them are on your turn, and I have not really had any problems beating over anything in security. Like I said, this deck gives plenty of power. If you really are going against a deck that plays like a bunch of Omnimons or something, which I can't really think of anything right now other than, you know, if you just crash into the 1 and you can't hit 16, I mean, you should be able to. But that 1,000 doesn't make too much of a difference. But, you know, if I'm just playing it casually. If I was to go to like nationals next week, I would, you know, obviously splurge on the, you know, just in case, because both of them is on your turn. 4 Agumon X Antibody, Digivolve 0 from Agumon, of course, in the back if you want to build it up, draw a card. But if you have the Agumon out, or you can just play him since he's 3 instead of 4 like the Black Agumon X Antibody is. Reveal the top 3, add 1 card with Greymon or Omnimon, and 1 X Antibody. So that's the option card. 2 Solarmon, just because we do have Cross coming back. Cross is really strong right now, especially with them getting like Mervamon, which, you know, brings out stuff with Rush, Blocker, Retaliation, etc. You don't want them to reduce the cost, make them pay the full. 2 Yuya Kuga. I would play 3. I just don't have the room for it. If you have 2 in memory, it sets 3. And then when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a Greymon by suspending it, it gets 2k until the end of your opponent's turn. See, that's another thing I'm talking about, like your power. You have so many things that give power in here. You really don't have problem hitting over 15. But the best part is if it's Digivolved into the same level, it isn't affected by your opponent's option cards until the end of your opponent's turn. This is probably the only thing that will protect you from the 1 card in this game that can actually get rid of Blackwargreymon really easily right now, which is Chaos Degradation, which is in Mastamon, which is the other top tier deck right now in this format. So if you were able to evolve, you evolve into X Antibody, tap it, then your opponent's options cannot affect your Blackwargreymon. So their only option is to beat over it in battle. 3 cool boys, of course. Search an X Antibody, card with an X Antibody, and then a X Antibody. And then if you Digivolve something with the same level Digimon, you may suspend this to gain a memory. I might cut one of these. 2 Hades Force, I might cut one of these. It's very situational, but I essentially use it to basically, you know, tamer control. Like, if my opponent has a bunch of tamer and I have like a 12, 13, what are they, like 13 cost, you can get rid of so many things, right? So like this would be especially devastating against like cross decks where they have a bunch of 3 cost hammers. You can get rid of like 4 of them with just a 5 cost. So this, well, it's a 7 cost, but if you have an X antibody, it's a 5 cost. And then lastly, of course, 3 X antibody, one of the best cards, constantly getting stuff. So I would recommend picking it up. And of course, basically the main effect is place this card under inherited when attacking. This Digimon can Digivolve into a Digimon card with X antibody for its Digivolution cost. So the best part is like you already evolve, you want to go ahead and swing, and then evolve into something like Omnimon or even into your Blackwargreymon. Well, your Blackwargreymon X antibody. So even though your turn passes over, you still end up with having the Blackwargreymon. Now, this is the more preferred build. This is basically the red base. But because everybody is building this and I'm not going to nationals, I just don't want to pay like $2,000 to get over there this time. I might actually change it up into and try the black base, and I will do a black base deck profile for the like I don't know if everyone know about it, but it's basically an OTK deck where you essentially play with the following cards that I'll show you. Just sneak preview. Still gonna tinker with the deck a little bit. So of course, Agumon X antibody. Then you got to play this Agumon because it's the only other black Agumon. The key cards, of course, are the old Greymon, where, you know, if you have reboot, it gets jamming. Your Metal Greymon, security +1, and then, of course, your Blackwargreymon, where you basically build up a bunch of stacks because you have all the X antibody. So you have your level 2, your level 3, your level 3 X antibody, level 4 X antibody, and level 5. And I guess you could miss one, so you essentially get 3 attacks. First 2, you know, with like you keep the Metal Greymon and the Greymon. So it has security attack +1, and then it also has jamming. So two attacks with that, and then you essentially go for a game with the 3rd and 4th attack. Because they'll restand, what, 3 times? 3 times, so 4 attacks. First 2 will deal 2 damage each. 3rd one will deal 1 damage, and then the last one for game. I'm still testing this one out. Hopefully finish up the deck profile for, you know, for my locals, testing it for locals next week, and then I'll do a deck profile video on this. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.